Okay, everything's ready to go.
Okay, welcome to our meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. I've never done this from a fully virtual model as we look for volunteers to lead us in a prayer, reading, or thought, and the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have any volunteers in the room or virtual?
We've got Ralph Clegg that's volunteering for one of them. Which one, Ralph? I'll do the prayer. Any for the pledge? I'll do the pledge. Or go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity we have to be here this day and participate in county government. We're grateful for the basis of our Constitution and the Constitution of our state, which provides these opportunities for us. We're grateful for those who serve in the county, those who've been elected and serve so faithfully and our needs and as a community. We're grateful for those who in law enforcement who defend our rights and our freedoms, as well as our armed services on a national level. And again, we're grateful for all our political leaders and all that they do, and for those who work and serve here in the county, and pray that thy blessings would be upon all, that wisdom might prevail and good judgment, and that all things are done in good order for the citizens of our county. And for these things we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. If all could rise for one nation under God. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. We will now begin the process of building our agenda. We have 18 items on our published consent agenda and 40 items on our published regular agenda. Anything that is not held will be approved for discussion, will be approved on consent. I did not have anything from the consent agenda to hold, so I'll pause to hear whether Commissioner Ivey or Lee did.
No.
I don't have any either.
Okay. I'd like to hold number 2 on the regular agenda.
Dave Shawcroft, number 8 is a duplicate of number 3. We could strike one of those.
So
Okay, we'll strike 3.
Three. Okay.
Thank you. Is there anything else
If we
that
could
we need to hold?
if we could hold number 6 and 7, and I think we need to hold number 9 for a presentation. And if we could hold number 13. And then I wonder if we could we table number 33 till after closed?
Okay. I'm fine with all of those. Anything else, Commissioner Ivey?
No.
Okay.
Well,
Then we will
hold
jump
on
right
one-
to,
Mr. Chair, I was just informed that, number 34,
think eight-
thank you. 34 does need, needs to take action.
okay. So hold 34 to take action. Thank you. Okay. Let's go to number 2. I don't know if there's anyone on from Public Defenders, or I do notice that Ben Van Noy is on.
Yes, I'm here.
I know there's a long kind of history to this one. I'm okay in the spirit of cooperation and trying to clean things up and move forward, approving this. I will never approve anything like this again. You know, there are deadlines in the contract for extraordinary expenses, and I feel like those deadlines, we can do a better job of clarifying in the contract, which I think that you're doing that, Ben.
Yes.
We revise a new contract going forward. If they aren't received in time, then they unfortunately just will not be paid, because the county can't, when we close out a year, we don't anticipate that we still have obligations from a prior year. So I just wanted to make that comment, but I'm okay proceeding forward with this agreement.
You ready for a motion then?
Yes, if there's no other discussion.
So I'll move that we approve regular agenda item number 2.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve item number 2. All in favor say aye.
Right?
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. Thank you. Okay, we'll turn to item number 6.
So item number 6, 6 and 7 have gone through our TRCC board. One of them's gone through twice now. But nevertheless, I will be voting no on these. It is not because I don't appreciate the work that is going to be done out on the lake. I think we all recognize that as a gem in our county. But considering what we have tried to establish over the years with a 35% match as our ceiling on this reaches 50%, which I'm not comfortable with. So with these two, I will be voting no.
Okay. This will be an interesting, conversation going forward. I respect a lot of the efforts that Commissioner Lee has on the Tourism Tax Advisory Board, and he certainly has been there longer and so has more of that history. Over the last couple of years, as I've served there and I've listened to the recommendations, I have not heard that board in making their recommendations try to tie to this amount. And so I'm a little bit concerned. At some point, I hope that if there is a disconnect here, that we can fix that. Otherwise, we may continue to see this challenge where a project is recommended, and then at the commission level, we have a historical standard that I don't know whether or not that has been endorsed by the board. So anyway, just some of my thoughts there.
Well, I mean, obviously, I've been on that board longer than you have, and that was set. It was not necessarily set in bylaws or anything of that nature. And it's not like in the past that hasn't been done differently. That's not the question. The question is when we were moving forward, and we have a lot of new members that have come on, and so that's where maybe some of the disconnect. And I recognize that there probably was some disconnect, possibly that could happen there. But that there was some deliberate talk in the past about that on how to kind of hold that line, and it's one even when somebody does a presentation like the last one with Lehigh City, they recognized it even though they had shortfalls in their presentation, knowing it they were still underneath that. So I think generally it's been recognized and kind of known.
Okay, thank you. Entertain a motion on item number 6.
I'll move to approve regular agenda item number 6.
I'll second for the vote.
We have a motion and a second on item number 6. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
And that passes 2-1. Okay. I guess we held item number 7 as well. I know that the discussion was kind of meant global for that. Is there any further discussion on item number 7?
No.
Entertain a motion on that one as well.
Move to approve regular agenda item number 7.
I'll second for the vote.
We have a motion and a second to approve item number 7. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
That passes 2-1 as well. Okay, we'll move to item number 9.
Hi, I am Katie Fox. I'm the victim coordinator at the Utah County Attorney's Office, and I am here to give our biannual update on our VOCA grant. We are on track to meet all of our goals within the contract for VOCA, and I just want to highlight a few things that we are seeing this year. With the assistance of our VOCA grant, we are in the process of creating a soft interview room and a play area for the victims and their children to come into our office and have a more comfortable setting to talk with the prosecutors in our office. Unfortunately, we have seen a 24% increase in domestic violence cases so far this year. Since March of this year with the pandemic, we had to prepare over 250 protective orders or no contact orders for domestic violence and sexual assault victims. We have also seen a 15% increase in calls through September of this year, and we still have more time to go. I know the courts, as you're aware, have shut down this basically since March, but this has not stopped our workload from increasing. We are severely understaffed. We currently have 2 full-time employees that are paid for by the county and 1 VOCA grant employee, and we're currently searching for someone to fill that position. With the addition of all the new prosecutors in our office, that has significantly increased our workload. As they are more capable of handling their cases, they need our assistance more. So we are trying to implement a volunteer program, and we're working hard to find volunteers that can assist us in our roles, but they do not, they cannot make up or replace a trained victim coordinator to assist them through this process. So do you have any questions?
I don't. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work you do.
Thank you for that report.
Same, thank you. Appreciate the work you do, and obviously these are unique times, and hopefully we can continue to find a way to provide service as we work through them.
Okay, we'll turn now to item number 13.
Commissioner, if you could just clarify that on item 12, that date for that hearing is set for Wednesday, December 16th, 2020 at 3 p.m. That was the suggested date, but just for clarification.
Do you want us to just make a motion on that, Dave, or can we just clarify it for consent?
Well, you could make a motion. That would resolve the issue. Maybe that's the simplest way to do it.
Okay, I'll happily make the motion that we set the public hearing for the budget amendments for the 2020 Utah County budget for Wednesday, December 16th, 2020 at 3 p.m. in room 1400 of the County Administration Building.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for item number 12. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes 3-0.
Thanks.
Okay, item number 13.
I put this on. I'll be happy to discuss why I did. I was contacted by a group of individuals that I have worked with in the past in various areas of Utah County, from up in the north end to down in the south end around Patron Canyon, who work on conservation easements and open space preservation. They contacted me about the possibility of putting a conservation easement on the Bridalveil Falls area. We have reached out to the group, Utah Open Lands, who often holds these type of easements, and their board unanimously approved initial approval. So basically their board said, yeah, this is the kind of area we like to hold in a conservation easement, if the commission so chooses to do so. Today's action would simply set a public hearing, so the public would have opportunity to input on whether or not they would like to see this area of the county moved into a conservation easement.
Well, I recently saw this on, I think it was just the other day, on there, and it troubles me. It troubles me because usually our process will go through closed meetings where we talk about especially disposal of land. We usually will have maybe even a work session item in which we have discussion. So this being thrown on here last second is disturbing to me in many ways. I don't mind having a public hearing. I've looked at since I've been in office, this was something that had taken place shortly after I came into office. We've been looking to preserve that area up there, and I think that I've been looking at trying to find ways to do that over the years that I've been in office, and so this is not new. But this being thrown on there is a little disturbing to me. I'm not adverse to a public hearing, but I think it's premature until we go through a process a little bit more deeper and have a little bit more have some more conversations. I've also had some conversations with the Provo Canyon. Actually, have been in meetings with the mayor's office from Provo and others talking about what can be done up there. And it'd be nice to have a little bit more of a holistic approach to it. And I think that those discussions should be had before we move forward.
So what is this action today? Is this this is also a new item to me. But I don't know, obviously there's a lot of questions or details about what type of conservation easement would be placed on there and what would maybe still be allowed, what wouldn't be allowed, kind of what are the terms. Are those items that discussed today, or is that in the hearing? Help me if maybe Nathan or any of the civil attorneys want to direction.
This is Dave Shawcroft. This simply starts the process to set the public hearing, which is required, so you get all of this public input before any decision can be made with regard to disposal of an interest in a significant parcel of real property such as this one. So all of the details of the conservation easement, all of that would be worked out later and addressed. But this just sets the public hearing date so that the public has the right to, or has the opportunity to provide input.
And for me, I'm not trying to swerve process. I believe this is the process. I believe this is a publicly held piece of property, and the public has an opportunity as we make decisions to come forward and here's a proposal, right? Here's an option. Is this something we want to have happen with this publicly held piece of property? And the public can come forward and say, yes, we like this. No, we don't. And they can give some input during that public hearing as to what parameters they would like to see. In response to your question, Commissioner Ames, this is the public's opportunity to actually come and voice and say, if we do an easement, we think it should look like this. It should allow for these things, not allow for certain things, be all-encompassing, not all-encompassing of the parcels. And Bill, it gives the people you've spoken with at the mayor's office an opportunity to publicly address the rest of the public. So everybody knows the things you've been doing and working on in the area in a public forum. And so it's not a binding decision of any kind. It's just simply an.
Dave Shawcroft, and this is the process that's set out in state law and in the county code. So
Well,
that's
I'm not arguing that process on a legal basis. Typically, though, we would pull this in for, a closed meeting discussion. And in that closed meeting discussion, I would have had the opportunity to say, listen, I've been working with Provo City and some of the lands going up that canyon as well. And with Provo City and others, other interested bodies there, it might be nice to have a coordinated effort instead of a one-off effort here and there. And if we do that together, but we never even had that opportunity to even do that. That's the process I'm talking about, not a legal process. And so now this gets thrown in, and there's just been a lot of conversations that have happened, over a period of time that get thrown off. And I'd rather do this together with Provo City, and they're open to some of the stuff that I think we're looking at up there on the foothills and up the canyon, but it just seems one off. I'd like to do it. I would have been able to bring that forward in a closed meeting and say, if we're going to put this forward as disposal of property, let's consider all the options that are out there, which I never had that chance to even have that conversation. I think we're premature is all. I'd like to at least have more discussion going forward. I don't have a problem at all with having a public hearing, but I think why not have a public hearing where we're doing that with the other partners that are up the canyon as well, so that we can have a joint effort with it instead of this one-off effort.
Well, I don't see it as one-off, Bill. I see it as a legal process for an open public process. That's how I see it. I don't see it as one-off.
Well, it's just not coordinated with other interested parties in doing the same thing.
Because I'm not allowed to coordinate with you by law. That's why you and Commissioner Raines both saw this now, because, according to the Utah Open Public Meetings Act, which I believe we should adhere to, I'm not actually allowed to coordinate with you on this until it's an agenda item.
Well, and if we could have brought it into a closed meeting to have preliminary discussions about it.
You made a motion to bring this into a closed meeting.
We talk about disposal of property all the time in closed meeting.
I mean, on that note, does it make sense to table this item?
I would like to have, I'd like to have it tabled just for further discussion. And if you want to go talk with the mayor's office and others that are involved, let's do it. Or we bring them into a closed meeting and have that discussion. I think that would be nice to have, as we're trying to move forward.
And this is Rob Moore, Utah County Attorney's Office. Real quick, as you recall, for closed meetings for the sale of property, we can't have a closed meeting to discuss the sale of property or disposal of property unless we've already declared it surplus, which is the reason why we have to go through this process the way we are. This property has not currently been declared surplus, and that's what this process would do, not to get rid of the property per se, but just to allow for this potential conservation easement as determined by the commission. If you approve this today and set the public hearing, we'll probably have a draft of the conservation easement this week. You can look at it, and then you can have that available for the public to look at too. And on December 9th, if that's the date you choose, you could have the public come and voice their opinions as to what they would like to see excluded from that properties, and what they'd like to be included in that properties. And that would include all the stakeholders up, Provo Canyon, the neighbors, the city, others. But again, we can't have a closed session to discuss the sale of property until we've already declared it surplus by state law.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think that's fair enough. If we wanted to, in this meeting, declare it as surplus property and then start having those discussions with the other entities, I would be in favor of having that conversation. At least we could have, that conversations with the other entities and try to do something, jointly with them instead of excluding them out of conversations that I think we should have together as a group as we're looking at the entire area and not just one piece.
So
And that's why I'm trying to make this motion to set the hearing, declare it surplus, so we can do those types of things.
Well, we can declare it a surplus without having a public hearing.
I want the public to have an opportunity to have input on this. I don't want it to be closed meeting behind closed doors every step of the way. That's how we get in trouble in the
No.
eyes of the public, elected officials. I want this to be an open, transparent process.
It's just it's coordinated on it with stakeholders, with landowners, which is basically public, being Provo City. And I don't see any reason why we can't have, a conversation about what that looks like, so that we can get on the same page.
Conversation with Provo, and I also think we can have a conversation with the public that owns the property.
I know, but Robert said that he's going to actually have things written down and what it looks like and how and that's not asking for input. That's saying this is what we have in place, and this is what the easement's going to. What if they want to do something different, and maybe they have some ideas that will allow us to float and go back and forth.
Then we change it, we modify it, we amend, we go through the legislative process. This is a public hearing. I can't believe you're objected to a public hearing.
I'm not objecting to a public hearing. I just like to have the stakeholders, together on this instead of, saying this is what our proposal is now, like it, or now what do we do different? Why don't we start with conversation?
Well, because we've had conversations on this for the 4 years I've been in office.
With Provo?
We're trying
Hey, Rob, let me ask a couple of procedural questions. So help me connect the dots to this conversation that we've been having of declaring surplus and public hearing.
So in order to comply with both state law and our county code, we, if we're going to look at or consider disposing of either some surplus property, some county significant parcel of real property, or public property that's in the public use, we would need to provide notice. Now, that doesn't mean we're selling the property. I think the proposal here by Commissioner Ivey is to grant a conservation easement, or at least to consider that. In order to do that, this is the first step that you would have to do to set that hearing. It has to be at least 14 days out. And so that's what this intent was. That's why the December 9th date. That would give a lot of opportunities for the parties to have some discussions about this, have discussions with Provo City, with others, have the public hearing, we have further discussion, et cetera.
After that meeting that we could actually take action, or is it after that meeting that you can first declare it surplus and then you still have to decide what to do from that point?
You could take action anytime after that meeting.
Okay, and could we take action to declare this surplus right now?
Because it's a parcel of significant real property and in public use, you need to have that public hearing first. So This is just setting the public hearing. That's all this is doing today.
And because I'm hearing these conversations on both sides, right now, this public hearing is set to discuss these parcels. The way Nathan's agenda item reads is it specifically is more of a conversation about a potential conservation easement. Is it possible just to say it's a public hearing about these parcels so that any interested party, if they have a vision or a plan for these parcels, can be a part of that public hearing, and it allows us full flexibility to take action afterwards?
Absolutely. I think that the reason why it was written the way it is was not to cause alarm to the citizens of Utah County thinking that the county is selling Brighter Valley Falls. So I think that was meant to be very narrow so that it was not to cause alarm to the citizens that we might be selling Brighter Valley Falls.
Well, one thing that we could do is we could declare it as surplus today, and then on the date, I forget what the date was that was set for it, we could have a joint work session, public joint work session items with Provo City and other interested parties, and have some discussion about what that is going to look like. And I think that could be helpful on many different points. You know, we could have meetings with them before and meetings with them on a public basis and talk about not just ours, but also talk about theirs.
Let me respond to that just briefly, Commissioner. We can't declare it surplus today because, again, we have to provide that 14 days notice and have a public hearing because it's a significant parcel of real property. We had to do the same thing when we were dealing with a question property in North Utah County, that we required to have that public hearing and had to give notice. And this is a very similar kind of a process for this property as well, just because of the size of the property, the value of the property, and also that it's in public use.
So my suggestion might be, I don't know, Nathan, if you would be open to this friendly modification to your agenda item, but if this were just the same language of the public hearing, but for the use of a conservation easement or other potential uses?
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, when I put this on here, I was contacted by a group of individuals that I've worked with historically on various areas in the county that are into open space, land conservation, public land conservation. They said, we've looked at areas throughout the county. We'd love to see Bridalveil Falls be in a conservation easement. So I said, no, that sounds like it might be something that people might be interested in. So I contacted Rob and said, Rob, what's the legal process to make this, happen so we can have an open public dialogue about it? And this was what was necessary and dictated by law for a fair and open public process. And so I put it on here. I'm very happy to have it read, or other uses. That doesn't bother me at all.
Okay. I would entertain and support such a motion.
I'll move that we set a public hearing to consider the disposal of an interest in real properties in public use and or significant parcels of real property by granting a conservation easement or other potential uses for the serial numbers noted in regular agenda item number 13.
And I will second. I'm in favor of public hearings, being able to do it. I do disagree with some of the process, but for discussion, let's go forward.
Okay, we have a motion and a second as stated for 13. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. Okay, and then I believe that is the end of our agenda, other than a couple of.
We've got one, number 34.
I thought we had 33 on 30.
30,
I had 33.
33 is tabled.
Okay.
Oh,
34.
you're right. 34 to take action. Okay.
Well, Robert Baxter, Purchasing Manager. It's actually a pretty simple one here. This is just an RFP to award a contract for mosquito air spraying services. We only received one proposal, so actually your only action here is to either accept or reject that proposal. The Mosquito Abatement Division reviewed the proposal and considered it to be acceptable. It's the same company that VDCI that they've been using in past years.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll make a motion that we've received the recommendation and then we accept the proposal that has been given to us for number 34 on our agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and accept the proposal in item 34. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. Okay, do we need any closed meetings?
We need number 37.
Okay. Any others?
So 37, 38, 39, and 40. Did you get all those?
No, we're just asking what closed meetings. The only one that Bill had said was 37.
Yeah, if we could get the others two, they'll be 38, 39, and 40.
Okay.
Sounds great.
And also, hold on a second. This is Rob Moore. Sorry to interrupt, but we also need to have those closed sessions be for Friday as well, Dave.
What, I'm not informed on what the Friday is. I don't even know if we've looked at a schedule for that.
Nor am I.
My understanding is that was coordinated through your offices to have a meeting, a closed meeting on Friday at 2 p.m. And we would like to set that for both litigation and for sale of property.
So
40.
I'm not seeing that. And so was that confirmed through the offices? Because I'm not seeing it on my schedule as a possibility.
Brian confirmed that one for you, Commissioner Lee, for Friday at 2 p.m.
Okay.
And so Dave, before I make these, just to make sure, we need all four for today and then 39 and 40 for Friday as well.
Correct.
Perfect.
At 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve and set a date, time, and location for closed meetings as described in regular agenda items numbers 37, 38, 39, and 40 for today's date following the completion of regular business, noting that we need additional closed meetings for regular agenda items numbers 39 and 40 for Friday at 2 p.m.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for closed meetings as stated. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes 3-0. Okay, we do not have any work session items. Is there any public comment?
Looks like we have one. At least one.
Hi, Commissioner Lee and Ivy. My name is Robert John Stevens. I live in Provo. It's nice to be here. I haven't been here in about a year. How long do I have?
3 minutes.
Robert, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, I have 2 minutes. Okay, I'm in my 36th year now as a professional, and this year I was lucky enough to get a job as a programmer at a Microsoft. You know, for only $300, you can buy yourself a laptop and learn how to program. And so, well, actually, you can learn how to for free, and then you spend $300 and you become a programmer. However, if you want to go and farm here in this county, it's a lot more expensive. I'm in my 16th year now of trying to become a farmer. I originally purchased 103 acres with my life's savings. I have spent over $2 million now on development because after I had my land, I was told I couldn't just hook up solar. I had to get electricity that was way more than I can afford. And so, all of us have heard about the early Utahns who arrived here, and for $1.25, they went and paid their surveyor, and they moved onto their land and went to work. And now we say, well, now we have electricity and roads and septic systems, and so we can't just go move on to our property. But in our situation now, we now only have half the amount of land. We have put in a $500,000 road. All the lots have power and natural gas, and yet it's still, because of government regulations, cost $56,000 more in expenses per lot. Now, the average citizen here in the county would be lucky if over a decade they would save $56,000. I'd like to just mention some of these. Water rights is the majority, between $4,000 and $4,500 an acre foot. For a 5 1/4 acre lot, you need to have roughly 9 acre feet. Why do we, how can we mandate 9 acre feet when a home only needs a 1/2 acre feet? Why not let a person move onto their property with their 1/2 acre feet and drink and have all the water that they need for their household, and then as they obtain more money for water rights, they can buy more water rights. Since the county spent $100 million and spends no money on, that I know of, on roads or bridges or wastewater treatment systems, each owner has to build his own wastewater treatment system for a cost between $30,000 and $60,000. A well costs probably about $10,000, but there are fees in here at the amount of about $9,000, which are mostly applications and tests and so forth. I'd like to have a discussion and see if we can reduce some of these things and make it easier. The goal should be that since individuals are not able to build massive wastewater treatment systems, that if it's not the responsibility of government, then it should be the responsibility of the government to at least organize something where the people who want to move onto their own land can go over time, help others to have a wastewater treatment system where we have sewer. Secondly, a year ago, we were charged $69,000 while we were in the process of constructing our road for rollback taxes. We had attracted ranchers every year that we owned the property, except for the year that we built the road. We had several who said, "I'll come," and they didn't come. And so we were charged $69,000 in rollbacks, and then I appealed it to the Board of Equalization, and they approved it and said, if you get the contracts in place, you're okay, and I did. And so the assessor appealed it to the state of Utah, but all but one lot. And so the county here owes me $10,642.51. It's been over a year. I've emailed and called, and I just get the runaround. And that's a lot of money. It's held us up one more year of not being able to get subdivision approval on a lot that we can actually live on. So, I just like to have some help on this. I don't want any more runaround. If this was Walmart or Costco, you would have had your money instantly. And since a legal hearing where commissioners approved our request, and I consider that a promise, I think it's fair to just write me a check and let me go and do some more improvements.
So we're you said we approved the.
Yeah, on the 4th of September of last year, in the Board of Equalization, you approved to not charge me rollback taxes on all 11 lots.
I see.
The assessor appealed your approval all but one lot. And so one lot has fallen through the cracks. That was a lot that at the time I was selling the lot, I got a call and they said, hey, there's a lien on the lot. And I thought, oh boy, what's this for? And that's when I first learned about this. And so under pressure, I paid the money. I appealed it and you approved it, and so I'd like to have a refund on that. And that's all I have right now. But I'd like to see large wastewater treatment systems in the county constructed. What the public does not understand is we have this massive housing crisis, which everyone understands. I'm surprised how much worse it is, in the last year. But 96% of the people live in 4% of the land, which is all in incorporated cities. Our county is 2,100 square miles, and yet everyone is forced into the cities. It used to be, everyone's attitude was, I'd like to have all this land around me, but the problem is now, as the city properties have increased in value, so have the surrounding land in the county. The valuations now for the land in the county is at $25,000 an acre, if you're able to even purchase at that. But and so if you wanted to buy a 5¼ acre lot at $25,000 an acre or more, and then you have to go get a water rights and build a road and bring in power and dig a well and do all these things. The people who have bought lots off us, their homes now are between $800,000 and $1 million. You've got to be very well off in order to own a new home in the county now. And that's really not how it was supposed to be. And so I think that instead of having all these regulations and marred with all these regulations, I think what happens is we have to just take a different approach and look at standards. That's how we do it in high tech. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but I'm not sure if you understand that, but in high tech, we don't have regulations. We have standards, and we all go and meet and discuss and make standards, and they're always evolving because old standards are thrown away and new ones are adopted. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Is there any additional public comment?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, then we'll move into our closed meetings. Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.